Hi guys, so I wanted to show you how to hand pollinate corn. So usually you grow corn in a grouping or a cluster. You have a set of them together. And the reason why you do that is because it helps to, one corn will help to actually pollinate the other plant. Why is that? Because the corn plant has a male part and it has the female part. So what is the male part of the corn? Well, this here, on top here, this is a tassel. This is the male part of the corn. And this is where you find all the pollen. At the bottom here is the female part. This is the silk that you see coming out of the air. That is, the silk is the female part. So you need to get the pollen from the male part onto the female part. So that is why if you have a cluster of corn plants together, as the wind blows and the pollen from the tassels is blown by the wind, it can fall on the silk. Now each of these silk strands is connected to a kernel on the corn. So that's why you need to get it fertilized, so to speak, or pollinated, because each of these silks here represents a kernel on the corn itself. So ideally, you want to have a number of corn together so that that process can take place. Now, I had some more corn plants, but my dog had destroyed some of them, and so I only remained with two. And of course it continued to grow. So because I don't have that ideal situation where I have a number of corn together, I'm going to hand pollinate my corn. So what do you do? Well, I am going to clip off one of these tassels here. Okay, so for example, I'll take this one in the back very carefully, because this is where the pollen is. And what I'm going to do is rub it on the silk. Okay, I want to get it on as much strands as I can. Because remember, each of these strands represent a kernel on the ear of corn. So that is how you hand pollinate your corn. Let me zoom in so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm taking the tassel here and I'm rubbing it on the silk, because what I want to do is trying to pollinate the silk. So what you would want to do is do this over a period of a few days, so that you can try and help with this process. Now, remember, when the tassel was on top and the wind would blow, the pollen would fall ideally and fall onto the silk here and pollinate it. But, I don't have a whole lot of corn plants together. And so, I'm not certain that it would have gotten pollinated as it should. So I'm just trying to help the process. But this is how you hand pollinate corn. You take the tassel, at least this is one way. There is other ways. Some people use a paintbrush and they would take the paintbrush one, because remember the tassels had this, let me see if I can show you. On the tassel, there's these little things that are hanging down, which all of mine came off because I rubbed it on. Actually, let me show you one here. This is what was hanging down. This is what was hanging down from the tassel, right? So that's where the pollen is supposed to be. Okay guys, so that's it. That is how you hand pollinate corn, or one of the methods of hand pollinating corn. You could either use that method that I showed you, where you cut off one of the tassels and you rub it against the silk. That's one way of hand pollinating it. Another way is using a paintbrush, rubbing it against the tassels and then rubbing it on the silk. Or another way of doing it is simply mimicking nature, and that's by gently shaking the plant like this so that the pollen will fall, which I can I just felt like a shower hitting my hand. So by shaking the plant like this, that's where the pollen will fall onto the silk and help to pollinate the silk. And that's what the wind does. In its natural state, that's how corn gets pollinated. And of course, when you have it in a cluster, as the wind will blow, the pollen from one plant can fall onto the silk of the adjacent plant and help to pollinate it. So yeah, I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And of course, feel free to share with family and friends. All right, well, see you in the next video. Bye for now.